little bit of a different Noonan Speaks. Every Noonan Speaks is a little different, let's face it. But this one is particularly different. I happen to be, this may be the first wrestling podcast in history, if in fact this is actually a wrestling podcast, if we've officially called it that yet. But the first one in history that has emanated from the Mediterranean Sea. I am off the Hotel du Cap in Antibes, somewhere within the range of Cannes for the Cannes Film Festival. I am working as always, but I always find time to do an interview for Noonan Speaks. By the way, my name is Jimmy Noonan. My sometime co-host and producer's name is Larry Francis. He is on Instagram as the WWE Historian. He is the man, the myth, the legend. But it's my show, damn it! It's my show. Yeah, whatever. So anyway, I am. My guest can't find Starbucks, but I have my own form of Starbucks. And of course, it's going to be cigar time any minute. We're going to light up. But here we are in the middle of the Mediterranean, and we're doing a show. And it's going to be a fun show. My guest today, this evening in France, but where are you? You're in Florida?
I am in the Floridian middle of the state. I freaking love it in my car.
Florida.
South Florida, going towards
South Florida. Cool. Well, I've gotten some time. I knew my client. I keep calling you my client. I knew my guest at WWE. I got to meet him. I got to see him come up. I got to see him in Tough Enough. There was I think the first 3 or 4 Tough Enoughs. And then there was the $1 million Tough Enough, and which was kind of funny, and we'll talk about that in a little while, because it wasn't exactly $1 million. It was a lot of money, but it wasn't exactly. If you haven't guessed yet, my guest is Daniel Puder, the CEO of My Life, My Power, and I've gotten a chance to break bread with Dan since WWE. We've had a load of fun. He is a gentleman. He's, if I'm not mistaken, the only undefeated fighter like in history, like with Rocky Marciano. We'll get to those credits in a little while. But what a really, I'm going to call you a kid because I'm 60 years old now. But what a really nice kid, and I'm really happy to have him on the show. Hello, DP.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing really well. The last time I was with you, we were at the Beverly Hills Hotel for lunch, and we took pictures afterwards with your book.
Really, that was a good. I've always enjoyed, who you. It's great because I spend time, over time with people that I connect. And you've always been really good to me, and really good to a lot of people, and thank you for that. Appreciate you.
That's really sweet. Are you surprised at how big Ryback has gotten? Now, Ryback, since you has he did nothing in the Tough Enough, and then he became Skip Sheffield, and then he became, for a short hot minute, he became a monster in the WWE, and now he's writing books and doing stuff. Does that surprise you at all? I was always curious about that.
Well, all the guys were smart. To be able to make the Tough Enough show, you had to be, your IQ, EQ has to be pretty high. I like how he transitioned. I haven't seen his book, but I would love to read it. That'll tell me a lot about a human. It's pretty awesome to be able to see people from the Tough Enough go from where they're at on WWE to really making a career and utilizing that celebrity to create something. I mean, I've done it, and a few other guys have done it because it's that commitment they've had to be able to make it on WWE and that hardship and challenges they went through to be able to create that mindset. It just comes down to, I think the biggest challenge why a lot of guys don't make it is because they don't find the right people to support them. They don't build their human life. And I think that's a big, when you're doing a book, when you're, whether writing it or publishing it or printing it or doing tours or publicity. I mean, there's so much stuff that goes into a book. I mean, I already wrote another one. My second one, my first one, we sold almost 30,000 copies. The second we're doing called Significant. Next year, I'm doing one that is, I started out called Daydream. And then a third one, name for you. So it's cool to start creating that context.
One could argue, Dan, that that class, that Tough Enough class, was the greatest class ever. I mean, I was always very fond of Nydia and Maven, and they were so important because they were the initial Tough Enough class. I was a big Christopher Nowinski fan. He's a lot like you. You're both very well spoken. You're gentlemen. You've both really done some cool stuff with your life. But one could argue that your class was the greatest class ever of the Tough Enough. What do you think about that?
So we had some awesome talent. I liked our Tough Enough better than any others before. We were on the actual SmackDown show. Everybody else was on MTV. So to be able to attach to and be around the fans for WWE and supporters, I thought it was a blessing because it led us directly into creating those relationships on a different network and really being able to see the world of WWE, because before they weren't putting them on SmackDown and having them travel from show to show, and I really enjoyed the experience. Something challenging, but it was a real learning point in my life where I got to grow.
Do you have any? I always talk about this with my wrestling guests because they're always at least so far they're always WWE people and WWE people I worked with. Do you have any residual heat at WWE? You know, I've seen some interviews, some Kurt interviews and some of your interviews, but I'm not talking about specifically with Kurt or without Kurt. Do you have any residual heat? And if so, if you don't mind, with who and perhaps why?
I believe that I went above and beyond and building the ring every week to, work my ass off. I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs. I showed up on time. So if people do have heat with me for whatever reason, their own heat, and they can go screw themselves. But I did everything possible for not only for the company, but for my life. How do or
I think we're having a little technical problem. Hey, Larry, how are we doing with sound?
It's kind of breaking up. I think just him driving, just going through like dead zones and stuff's affecting it.
Right. Is he's on a cell phone?
Give me a second, guys. I'm going through a green area. This is the only green area I get to go through.
Okay.
On the map, it's a green blob.
It's all good, Daniel. Worst case scenario, I can just call you later, and then we could just re-record your dialogue.
All right, so we're okay for now?
Tell me if that works.
Yeah, that sounds a little better. So assuming we can hear each other, and this is not, listen, this is not a perfect setup. Skype, I'm in the south of France, you're in the middle of Florida. It's very rarely a perfect setup, but we're going to do the best we can for our fans. I have a few. I'm sure yours are legion. But so I didn't exactly hear your. I heard part of your answer about the heat thing, and that you worked your ass off. You did the best you could, and kind of sort of if you have heat with anybody, it's their problem. It's not really your problem. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. I look at a lot of people. They want to get angry and ticked off at people for whatever reason. Hey, it's their anger. That's the best part about life is that you get to choose on, who you get angry at. Nobody can piss you off unless you let them. And if you let somebody tick you off, then you should really rethink who you are and what you stand for. So.
Gotcha. Have you seen Kurt since? Have you ever been able to Brad? Did you ever see him at an event? Have you ever talked on the phone? Anything like that?
No. When I go into a city, Kurt leaves the state. So it's been really challenging for him to get a good gig. When he was wrestling, I see his wrestling schedule once in a while. I might pop in there, so he's a little late to shows, I've heard. But, it is what it is.
It is what it is. And I have to tread lightly because I love Kurt, and Kurt's been good to me, and we've seen each other a couple of times over the years. And I'm just a big fan of the person he is. So I got to tread lightly. But I'm also a friend of yours, and a fact is a fact, Everybody knows what happened. Top wrestling people saw what happened. Scherer and Meltzer and guys like that all made comments on it that he couldn't tap that night. He just couldn't. It would have been almost the end of his career in some ways. But another 30 seconds and you might have busted his arm.
Yeah, and there wouldn't have been a Mida. There would have been I would have, and it would have been about another 10 seconds, I think, because very, very tight. Maybe 5 seconds. There's a big difference between wrestling and fighting, and even amateur wrestling, even at the highest level.
Larry, I can hear you laughing. I can't hear. I think I lost Daniel.
Yeah, it looks like I don't know.
There he is.
Apologize, guys. Somebody just called me.
That's okay. How dare they call you? How dare you? How dare you have a life on my time?
Hold on a second. Somebody called me. It's funny. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I said, how dare you have a life on my time, people calling you. How dare you, Daniel Puder?
Let me put this here instead of my crazy Bluetooth here. So it's awesome to watch how it's just a different world, and I give it to Kurt. Kurt's one of the biggest badasses in this world, and I judge people by their worth, and what I mean by that is not how much they're worth, but how they impact people's lives and what they do with their life. And a lot of people have so much regret towards the end of their life because they never really lived life. They were stuck in a rat race, and they never really impacted people's life. And that's why I'm coming out with this book, Significance Breeds Success, because it doesn't mean that you have to just be significant and not be successful. But if you're doing sales, or if somebody's doing like a cash register at a store or at Chick-fil-A or whatever it is, they can do their job in a very significant way for that customer. And I believe that that's one of the keys of life, is how do you impact people's lives positively to be able to make the biggest difference. I think Kurt has impacted people's lives. I don't know this necessarily a positive way, and how he lives his life. I don't know him that well, so I can't say anything about that. But he definitely has shown up for this country, win the gold medal, and that's huge.
And also because of what you do for a living, and because of the positive message you give out there, I don't give him some credit for making the changes in his life. He, if I'm not mistaken, Kurt is spiritually sober these days. He's newly married. He's back in the fold at WWE. So you being the compassionate guy you are, the business you're in, the positive positive note you pass on. You would of course, if you ever met him, put away the past and say, hey Kurt, good to see you. Good to know you're doing well. I'm sure that's the way it seems to me.
Yeah, my purpose in life, and I've really shifted my context to really understand who I am and what I stand for. And to me, life is about, to me, my purpose is to love and serve. And I know that's getting deep on your show, probably a little deeper than most people, but I think he's an amazing person for doing what he did. I had an amazing experience that helped me get to where I'm at today. And now I'm able to impact so many more lives because I won Tough Enough. And so I've never held a grudge per se. I'll talk a little smack every once in a while and have some fun. I would love to do something with him in life, whether with nonprofit or with the wrestling side of it. And I believe we could have a great match. I believe we could create, something that's so awesome. I mean, it might even be something with 4 kids and do something around the country. I mean, it'd be awesome. I love these big stars that really find themselves, because I've really dug in and deep and found myself over the last 7.5 years, and crazy experiences. Just nutty, cool stuff. So it's good.
Daniel Pewter, I challenge you right now to making something happen with Kurt. I challenge you to, let's say, the next 90 days to reach out, to talk, and to possibly make something happen, just like you're saying. Maybe for some kids, maybe for some people. Hey, who knows? Maybe there's a WWE angle left in it. Who knows? Would you ever go back? And then I want you to answer my challenge.
I in that context of doing something to make impact with Kurt, yes, I would do a stint there. Yes, I will take your challenge.
Good answer. Good answer. He's an awesome guy, and you're an awesome guy, and you two could add to each other's life. I'm telling you that right now. I know you both.
Do you have his new cell phone?
From the fact that Pewter knows that there's a new cell phone number, because Kurt's one of these guys, like every 6 months he gets a new number. I'll find it. How's that? I'll get it. I'll get it to make this happen. But would you ever, aside from Kurt, let's say Johnny Laurinaitis or Vince McMahon called you tomorrow, would you ever go back to WWE for an angle?
I would. For Kurt, for a deal with Kurt, yes, because it's still talked about every year, multiple times a year. I get messages on like Google Alert, right? And it's like top 10, things that happened in WWE. I mean, not only did we make the top 10 we we stirred something up before UFC was even UFC, and it was so powerful. We could create something where, I mean, I have some ideas, but let's just say this: I coaches in my life, Danny Shade, lost to Kurt to go to the gold, to go to to Bobby from American Kickbox Academy. I've had some of the best coaches in the world. And grow with Kurt for months or a year. It would, I'm super excited.
I had a little trouble hearing that, but assuming you can hear me, things happen, and that was an unscripted moment that turned into WWE history. And it's just like, it's not just like, but it's akin to, a guest of mine in the near future. I normally don't like to say that because just in case he doesn't come on, there'll be people who are disappointed. But Stephan Bonnar has told me he's going to be a guest on my podcast sometime soon. And Stephan Bonnar had one of the greatest fights in fighting history with, what was it, Forrest Griffith? Larry, is Dan still with me?
There we go. Is that good?
Yeah, I can see you a little bit. Hey, by the way, for the listeners of the show, over my left shoulder, you are looking at the Eclipse, a 500-foot yacht, one of the biggest yachts in the world, owned by Roman Abramovich. I am not on a 500-foot yacht. I'm on a big fucking yacht, but I'm not on a 500-foot yacht. So that's Roman Abramovich's, because that's what happens when you're in the Mediterranean. Daniel, back to you, young man. You are still a young man. How old are you, Dan?
36, brother.
You're a kid, bro. You got all this life to live. You got all this good stuff to do, man. You're gonna kill it.
It's a good life. It's a good life. We growing the company, working with the nonprofit. We have our for-profit side now. One of our big things is emotional intelligence for corporations. A lot of corporations we're working with on the for-profit side are having challenges with retention and turnover and culture. Building team, people coming into the company, not really caring about the company, but only caring about their bonuses, or it's very interesting to see the context of what's really going on with this generation and coming up. And it's so funny how every parent blames the generation versus taking accountability for that. They let their kids sit on a PlayStation or TV for 8 hours a day, that they give their kid a cell phone at dinner and or a tablet and let them play and communicate, that they would work 68 hours a week for an extra vacation once a year, but they wouldn't actually spend time with their kids and love them and really understand them for their love languages or learning styles and connect with them. It's crazy to be able to see the way people are thinking these days, and it's nuts. It's crazy, but it's also fun. It creates a great business for what we can do, and we're having a lot of fun with it.
My life, my power. What is your mission statement? What exactly do you do?
So with the nonprofit, we do pre-kindergarten through 12th grade. And what we do is we help people understand themselves in a really freaking deep way. So most people are told what to do and what to believe and what not to do their whole entire life. And that is called a cult. And a cult doesn't help people believe or think for themselves. So we help people at a younger age do that. We do foster care. We work with kids in jail. We do this through our program called GPS for Life, our curriculum, or we do it through our Black Belt Emotional Intelligence experiences. So we have 4 different experiences that we go through. Same thing going through like MMA or wrestling or whatever else, but it's supposed to help people create outcomes for their life so that they can get better results with their family, better results in themselves, better results with their business partners, their company, their significant other, whatever the result is, it's making themselves their best self. So that's on that side. And then in the university world, we have a university course, 3-credit course that we've been running for 3 years. We've dropped the dropout or transfer rate at one university from 25% to less than 3%. At the 4th level, we do customized experiences based upon outcome that they want. So a lot of people talk about goals. Here's a 6 that you can do as a leader. There's 6 ways to be a leader. There's HR ideas and concepts, and those are the content. What we bring to the play is the context, and it's more than head. It's shift and dynamics on people together, how they communicate, how they connect, they operate. I've seen transformation so fast when people want it, when they want to be, and they want to get something. So many people are wrapped up in fear-based mentality, and they think it'll serve them to a certain point until it ruins relationship or creates fear in their life or creates diseases. We know it, but more of a dis-ease life. It's interesting to watch how stress and anxiety and all these things can create a dis-ease in people's life. And anxiety is the same feeling as excitement, but it's with a different context. The excitement is coming from, we call it love or joy or happiness. The anxiety is coming from it's something. People understand these little things in their life. They can become so much more powerful and get what they want. So I think it takes 2 things. It takes understanding what you want, and the second thing is it takes commitment. And both. And in WWE, I had the ball through everything I've ever done, 100%. I've succeeded.
You started off this answer, if I'm not mistaken, using the word CULT and describing what is not a cult. Is that correct?
Yeah, a cult is where people are told what to do and what to believe, right?
Okay, right. So, but what made you say that? So there was a point to that. There's a reason you brought that up. Did you feel sometime maybe Tony Robbins or the self-help things are kind of cultish, and that you're definitely not that? Was that your point?
I would say Tony Robbins is a great platform. I mean, there's a lot of platforms out there different for everybody. What I mean by the cult is how our system is set up today. You go to school, you learn calculus, but you never learn how to actually balance a checkbook. You learn, history, but our history tells us that, when I was going through high school, that Christopher Columbus discovered America. So you're being told what to believe and how to believe it, but it doesn't necessarily make it true. with what we have created is it's not about what we believe or what we don't. We help people find what they believe. We help them find that intrinsic motivation, that inspiration, that passion, that connection to what they want to do. And 99.9% of the time it's positive things. They want to help people. They want to, be their best self. They want to fall in love. They want to be passionate about their job. They want to be able to do what they love to do every day. It's usually something so positive, but they don't understand how to get there because for the first 22 years of their life, they were told, be quiet, sit down, shut up, and we're going to teach you information.
Congratulations on all your success with My Life, My Power. It sounds like really, for lack of a better word, powerful stuff. And I hope you keep going. I want to switch gears a little bit, not because I don't want to talk about that, because you and I could talk about that all day. Me with my background in 12-step work and working with people and forcing myself to be compassionate and loving when sometimes I don't in fact want to be compassionate and loving, but then you have to turn it up a notch and be a real person. So we could talk about this on that part of your life. Are you a fan of MMA? Are you a fan of WWE? What do you watch and what are you seeing right now? As somebody who is in the business.
So I haven't watched either sport for a long time. I watch snippets, but I haven't really jumped in and spent a lot of time watching it. I enjoy this sport. I focused a lot more on what I'm doing today. It's like when I was in WWE, I focus 100%. So I spend about 80 to 100 hours a week into what I'm doing, building out our processes around the country, and really studying. The WWE stuff. Studying WWE when I spent a lot is the same methodology of what I do now. There's a script when I go into a classroom or corporate training or with an individual in hall. And I that person to be able to see how there's the good and the bad, how there's the fight all the time, how there's the growth, the excitement. So I love to study WWE and really good wrestlers on how they wrestled, how they built their fan base, more the psychology side of it. And I love good matches when I get time. But I haven't spent much time on either one over the last couple of years.
Was there anybody? And I know this is a tough question for you because you're your own man, you're a smart guy, you're evolved. But was there anybody you were more interested in meeting? Was there anybody you were slightly starstruck by? Was there anybody you particularly wanted to work and you never got to work? And any situations like that?
So I think Steamboat was one of the guys I really wanted to meet. I loved his matches back in the day.
And he was an agent. And he was an agent when you were there, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And was he your agent?
He was not my agent, but he did spend some time with me. Very blessed, and picked his brain. Really enjoyed who he was. But how he scripted his matches were so amazing to watch. And that was probably one of my top that I wanted to meet. Really enjoyed connecting with Stephanie McMahon. She's so bright and beautiful woman. Really intellectually smart. Love what she's doing with the future of the company. Really enjoyed Shane. Shane's super intelligent too, and we had some great conversations. Besides that, my favorite, not only trainer but wrestler was Al Snow. He one day said, "It's better to be respected than liked not respected." I believe that through different processes, I very high standard, respected, just, you know, what else we need to do. It was a good experience with him. On the phone with him a couple months. And Al's just a great guy. Freaking love who he is, and what he does.
Is he the only one you still keep in touch with?
I see different guys in different places, but he's probably one of the ones that I respect the most.
It's ironic that you mentioned Stephanie, a guest that hasn't been on the show yet. Like in terms of our broadcasting, she hasn't been broadcasted yet. But we did an interview this week. She'll be on next week. But I told everybody, I told the world that she was one of my top five hottest divas, but overall divas in history. And I put on my list very near the top list. McMahon.
You there, Jimmy? You there?
I am now. So I guess you answered my question about Stephanie.
Yeah, she's amazing. Super intelligent. She came in the first day and she put everybody in a line, and that's how we were, to go out or leave different scenarios. And for whatever reason, whatever she saw in me, I got more airtime than anybody else. I was in the best position from my standpoint that I could have been. Pretty awesome stuff. Really, really, really thankful for her.
Well, it seems like she took an instant liking to you and Rodimer, because before you knew it, Rodimer was on a lot of house shows, coming out with his big cape. So in the beginning, it was pretty much you and Rodimer who were the only guys who were, quote, making it, or making any dent in the business from that Tough Enough class.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I was so young, and so, if I would have had somebody take me under their wing and really teach me, but I don't, I would have loved to spend more time in WWE. But she gave me, from my perspective, an advantage in Tough Enough, and I'm very thankful.
Do you think there was somebody there, like during those days that you're talking about, the initial days where she's kind of putting you on? Do you have any resentment, or do you think that there's anybody who could have taken you under the wing? Like maybe you saw Paul standing around and said, "Boy, this guy could probably take me under his wing and show me a few things," or Orton or Cena or anybody like that. Is there any feelings about that?
I mean, what a little bit. I necessarily listen like I do today. But I did in relationships. I don't think people liked
Larry, are you there?
When you saw
Yeah, it looks like we're
me again,
she's okay, never mind.
I think I can hear you. Go ahead.
When I was on Tough Enough, what was your perspective of myself and the other guys?
Whoa, you know what? That is an awesome question because I have real feelings about that. First of all, you were the first class of real athletes. Now, it's not to say Maven and Nydia and Chris Nowinski and those guys weren't, like Matt Capitelli and John Morrison was an athlete. But you were the first group across the board that were real athletes. You looked like athletes. You acted like athletes. You were all of a certain size, of a certain age, of a certain physique. I saw what they did to you because I was backstage that night in St. Louis when you were pushing tires up a ramp. And, I mean, they broke your balls. They worked your asses off. So I, for the first time, had great admiration for all of you. And you're the first group of guys that I didn't treat like a dick because at WWE, you're kind of unofficially, you know, you're an outsider, right? You win Tough Enough, but technically speaking, you're not with the company yet. And we all treated outsiders like dicks. But you guys were too mature and too, you just had this way about you, man. We weren't going to push you around. You know what I mean? So that's my perspective. You were some pretty formidable dudes. I wasn't a big fan of Skip Sheffield because he was the only one who kind of like, you know, would look at me and roll his eyes. You, on the other hand, were a gentleman and very respectful, and that's probably one of the reasons we're talking right now. Aside from the fact that you've been successful and you know, and all that good stuff. But yeah, you guys landed for me, man. You know, you were a powerful group of guys. And that night in the ring, when, you know, Big Show tried to bully you guys, and then Kurt bullied you, and then that backfired, you know, it's significant, and it happened for a reason.
Yeah, for sure. What did you think of, like, what were the things that stood out about me versus a couple of the other guys? And did you ever connect with a couple of the other guys too?
I don't think, if I remember the class correctly, you're the only one that I had any type of relationship or friendship with. You were so here we go. You come, you're properly dressed, you're properly groomed. You shake hands, but you don't overdo it. It's almost like somebody had given you WWE 101 lessons before you came in. You just knew how to do it. So it's almost like you had a head start. Whereas Skip Sheffield was this giant guy. He could hardly move. You know, and he got blown up a lot. And put you through, I kind of remember you always at the front of the line. Am I correct about that? I mean, you were ready.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and that's how I lived life before. I was already a pro athlete. I don't think any of them were. I spent the last 5 years with Frank Shamrock and Javier Mendez getting my ass kicked as an amateur and then turning into a pro. So I believe I had a lot of respect. I think I've always had a lot of respect for people in general. But and it was awesome to be able to do it. I think a lot of people thought, or at least some of the Tough Enough guys called it brown nosing, which I'm thinking to myself, well, you guys can be assholes if you want. I will be.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, you were. It's like you were born to be there. And I wish you had a longer career because I don't know. I could see you main eventing with a guy like Randy Orton. You know what I mean? You know, Randy, of course, would have to be the heel. You would be Pewter the baby face. I mean, because look at that face. Come on, how could you not be a baby face? Look at you. You know. Where are you going, by the way? Where the hell are you driving? You've been driving for an hour. Where are you going?
I know.
You're
I
not
know.
still looking for a Starbucks, bro.
I'm driving. I was gonna look for a Starbucks, but we're rolling, so might as well. I'm driving on 95 South from Orlando to. I live in Delray.
Where's Delray? Is that right outside of Miami?
Like West Palm, yeah, north of Miami.
And did you have an event last night?
Yeah, I would call it an event.
Oh, really?
I went to. No, it was more than an event. Freaking experience, I'll tell you that. So I was with one of my buddies that I'm getting to know. His name is Dave Van Hoos. He owns a company called Speaking Empire. Have you ever heard of it?
What's it called?
Speaking Empire.
I don't think so. No.
Which is the top speakers and trainers around the country how to speak, like Les Brown and like a bunch of big names. So he trains them. He packages them up into boxes. He teaches them how to make money in the speaking gig. Pretty awesome guy. So we had. I went to one of his events, his mastermind events yesterday.
So I hope you can hear me. I'm losing you a little bit, and we'll obviously have to do some technical work. Yeah, I think you can hear me right now, right? I can hear you. Yeah, we're having a little. We'll probably have some technical problems, but we can always edit around them because Larry's such a wonderful editor. I'm going to tell everybody a quick story about how you and I first saw each other after WWE. I had a client, and he liked to go out every Tuesday night or Wednesday night at the restaurant, the Italian place on the boulevard there.
Yeah.
Was that Tuesday or Wednesday?
Wednesday.
It was Wednesday, so my client would go every Wednesday, and every Wednesday in the back room there would be a table of these like 70-year-old men, and in the middle of the table, I think I see Daniel Pewter. And I kind of ignore it. I go, well, why would Daniel Pewter be sitting with these 70, 80-year-old men? Of course, now they're 80. But the next time I mention their name, they're going to be 90, right? So anyway, so Pewter's there. Finally, the third Wednesday in a row, I go up and I tap you on the shoulder. I said, Danny? He goes, hey, Noonan, how you doing? And we talk real fast. So I'm going to tell our fans now that Pewter, like, you're not a normal guy. I mean, who goes every Wednesday to meet a bunch of 70-year-old men for dinner? But what you were doing was you were learning. You were very clear why you were there. A, they were your friends. B, you were there to learn from them. That's what I got. They were teaching you about life. They were teaching you about business. They were teaching you about sitting around in expensive restaurants and having, and acting like a gentleman. I mean, they were teaching you everything. And that's where I saw you, and that's when we started talking, and that's when we started putting together a lunch. Well, let's do this. And finally, about a year later, we had lunch. But I just don't see any of those other guys, the Sheffields and the Rodimers and whoever the hell was in your Tough Enough class, sitting with a bunch of 70-year-old men and soaking them, like being so smart and having knowing what's going on in the world, soaking these guys for knowledge. That's what a brilliant move. But they were your friends too. Let's make that clear.
Of course, my mentors, Pete and Harlan and Michael and all these guys, they would take me out every Wednesday for probably 4 years till I left LA, and it's been such a blessing because people see me when I'm talking, whether on my vlog or on my podcast or whatever I'm doing, and I'd love to have you on my podcast, by the way. We'll have to set that up.
Would love to. Thank you.
And they all do. Everybody sees me talking all the time. And in those dinners, I would sit there for probably 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, and I'd probably talk no more than 5 minutes. And I would just listen to business, to politics, to beliefs, to whatever it was. I can't learn when I'm very blessed. It's awesome because you were with clients, I was with my mentors, and put it together with me.
So Larry told me that we're going to do an hour with you, so we want to hold true to that because you have a life. I don't. I'm just sitting on a yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean. Obviously, I have no life. But I want to know two things. I want to know, one, I want to know about your growing up. We're going backwards. By the way, there's the big yacht again. 500-foot yacht. Yay. But anyway, I want to know about you growing up, your sisters, your mom, and your dad. I want the short answer, of course, because I don't want to bore you. But your amateur athletic background, and tell me a little about your family, because that inevitably leads to the man you've become.
So, I grew up in Cupertino, California. Have amazing parents. They are loving. They spend a lot of time with me, whether helping me with homework, sports, growing, traveling. Just the most amazing setup. Some challenges, but really, I best parents in the hospital, national award. How he's impacted getting that much obstacles really started in sports, soccer, when I was super young. And my respect for guys really they beat us up. It wasn't great. Seventh grade, so blessed today that we spent 2 years fighting, and about a month after that, walked into America. And was my youth for 4 years, so very to youth masters. Yeah, I'll take on the wrestling team. He just loved it. He just put in us. And Javier Lopez and guys come. Became an amateur MMA fighter, then pro, and the rest is history.
Good stuff, brother. So just so you know, and I apologize to any listeners, we've had some technical difficulties, But this has been such a good interview, and it's gone so well that I'm hoping we can get at least 50% of it. No, at least 75% of it. And if not, then we'll do the rebound, and I'll do your podcast, and maybe we won't have so many technical difficulties. I don't know if the technical difficulties are on my end or on your end, but because you have so much stuff going on, My Life, My Power, your Instagram and all your stuff, please give everybody all the stats and everybody do what Daniel Puter's about to say, because this is the important stuff where you can get a hold of him, where you can follow him, where you can reach out to him, and where you can make a real connection, because I think that, from what I've heard, that's what Daniel Puter's life is about these days, making a connection with people.
Yeah, anything on Daniel Puter, any social media. I'm also on My Life, My Power on every social media. So if they want to, add us on LinkedIn or Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, love to have you guys see what we're doing. If you want to make impact in your life or somebody else's, DM me and hit me up and let me know how I can support.
Very nice. Listen, you keep driving. I hope you eventually find a Starbucks. I hope you get home safely. You look great. You're always a lot of fun. What's with your podcast? What's your podcast called?
Significance breeds success.
Nice. So it's a do you do athletes? Do you do people in your audience? What do you do?
We only interview people that I personally know, that I believe are good humans that want to impact the world in some way.
Whoa. You already invited me on, bro. Do you want to rethink this now?
No. You're a good human.
That's why I love you, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a special edition of Noonan Speaks from beautiful Antibes, right outside the Hotel du Cap in Antibes, somewhere between Cannes, somewhere in the beautiful the Mediterranean. Daniel Puter has been my guest. He is as awesome as ever, and look for big things in his future. Once again, I'm Jimmy Noonan, WWE former Director of Security, and my producer is Larry, and he is WWE Historian on Instagram, so I want you to follow him. Enough of this stuff. God bless you, brother, and I hope to at least talk to you soon, and hopefully I'll have the pleasure of seeing you within the next, let's say next year or so. Let's do that. And do not forget, brother, my challenge to you, Kurt Angle.
So Larry has my cell number. Let's if you can text me your info updated so I have it, and then let's get Kurt's number. I will follow through with my challenge.
The challenge, the Noonan /Puter/Angle challenge. That's what I'm gonna call it.
I want to know how many people really want this. I mean, if people want it, let's give it to them. If they want it, I would love to do it.
Dude, this would be historic. And I don't care what forum it's in. I don't care if it's a wrestling forum. I don't care if it's a podcast forum. I don't care if it's a talk forum. I don't care if we take a picture at just you two shaking hands. But why don't we just, for you, not for you, for me, and maybe for you, and maybe for Kurt, why don't we just think about healing and getting over a great story and starting a new chapter? How's that?
Absolutely love it, brother. Appreciate you, and thank you for everything that you do, and all the love you've given me over the years. I appreciate you.
God bless, my brother. You take care. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, brother. Have a great week.